The OB. The original Bunjie never lets me down. I might let the original Bunjie down, but the OB does not let me down. That's a fact.
Favorite tree stand. Careful not to let him know I'm up here with my crossbow named Bunjie. Its name is Bunjie. Today is gonna be the day. He's not gonna get away from Bunjie. Death by Bunjie.
Well, on our first night in Maryland, I ended up shooting a really nice 8-point buck in velvet, and I'm just so excited to see what the rest of the trip has in store for us.
This is season 13 for Bunjie and I to enter the woods, and I think because of that, a tried, true, tested crossbow like that deserves a trip to Maryland. Don't you think so?
This time, Dad brought 2 crossbows. He brought Bunjie and Bunjie III. So now let's see what happens tonight. We gotta get Dad on some deer next.
On our first night, Bunjie III and I sat in a very familiar place. It's that clearing where Bunjie and I killed our 2019 buck. It's also a clearing where Bunjie and I were successful in killing 2 deer in one sit. Kind of proud of that, right? It's a nice big clearing in the middle of a hardwood forest. When in Maryland, we hunt over bait. Bunjie and I really like hunting over bait. I figured for the first morning sit of the trip, it'd be a good time to take Bunjie out and see if we could get on a deer. Wow. Genevieve, are you waking up? Let's get going. 3:30. What are you, sleeping all day?
Yeah.
Genevieve, are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Let that run while we're gone. This clearing is a really good spot in the morning. It's kind of secluded. I think the deer have moved off the ag fields, and before they go back to their daytime bedding areas, they stop in this clearing for a last minute bite so they can go back to their bedding areas and ruminate and do all that good stuff, chew their cud. So the deer tend to congregate here in waves. I do see deer in this clearing in the morning in my experience. So I was very excited to try out Bunjie and the Zombie Slayer Swahacker combination this morning. Once you see fawns eating at corn piles, that pretty much tells you that those deer are capable of surviving on their own. I'm not too worried about that fawn if I am to take that fawn's mother. In fact, it's not even with its mother at this time. The fawn comes in and out, and I watch that fawn for the first hour of daylight. Eventually, I do see some activity off in the distance. I see those familiar legs moving back and forth under the branches, and I love seeing that when you're hunting. And I watch this deer move back and forth, and I can tell it's that doe from the previous night. She is still a little suspicious, but this time she sees the fawn feeding there, and she's okay coming a little bit closer to the corn pile. She's still nervous. She hangs out at 30 yards behind the trees. Maybe if Bunjie III had been there, we might have had a shot, but she does kind of park herself right behind the tree. She kind of knows about this area. Hunting over bait is never a guarantee. There are no guarantees in this business. I talk about that in my book, The Death by Bunjie Crossbow Method, if you want to check that out. Even hunting over corn piles, it gives you certain advantages. It should position those deer nicely, right in front of you, maybe at the 20-yard line for a perfect shot. But it doesn't give you any guarantees. This deer, like a lot of deer, is educated about what a corn pile means. They know that that is an area of danger. They probably have been there before when other deer have been killed over those corn piles. They know it's a risky venture. Nonetheless, she knows that corn's there. She knows it's available. She definitely wants it. Finally, this doe is turning and she looks like she's going to leave. It's now or never. Now, this is not a perfect shot for Bunjie and I. This deer's not directly on the 20-yard line like I'd like, a little bit farther away. We're lined up on this deer. She's somewhere between 25 and 30 yards, using the 30-yard reticle. Bunjie and I, we're going to take that shot. This is unfortunate and familiar territory for me and Bunjie. How many times have you seen Bunjie and I, that older, slower, but reliable crossbow? How many times have you seen us spine deer on this channel? Well, more than a couple, unfortunately. The follow-up shot instantly kills that doe. And we are ready to take a deer home with us. We have accomplished what we set out to do in Maryland. But we're not really done. Now, the fawn, not really spooked by what just happened. The fawn comes in to feed at the pile. And all of a sudden I have this other deer, another opportunity. I know this deer is a fawn, giving me a perfect broadside shot. I figure as long as I am already dragging one deer, we might as well drag two.
And I'm really excited because now I got a text from my dad that says he shot 2 deer.
The OB. The original Bunjie never lets me down. I might let the original Bunjie down, but the OB does not let me down. That's a fact. When in Maryland, we do as Marylanders do. Got some baiting going on here. Totally legal, totally appropriate here in Maryland, in the old line state. The Luminoc, the bird coyote Luminoc, like there's any other kind, is all lit up. What a good looking arrow that is. The 563 grain zombie slayer, buried in the dirt, got a little bit of blood right there to peruse, to look over and see if we like it or not. But that's only one arrow. Arrow number 1 of 3, because there is a different deer that was not shot with that arrow. Oh, there's my decocking arrow. Interesting finding you here, because I lost it the other night and couldn't find it. It skipped on me. That was when I was here with Bunjie 3.0, the Scorpyd. Don't have that decocking arrow problem with the original Bunjie now, do we? But look at this deer, huh? This old girl broke off my first zombie slayer. You can see, holy penetration. I put a swacker out the other side of that deer. I actually got penetration through the scapula on the other side, even with this older, slower crossbow. Shooting around 260 feet per second is all with those heavier arrows. But that heavier arrow and swacker broadhead combination gave that crossbow the little extra oomph that it needed to make that kind of a deadly shot. That was pretty cool. These zombie slayer arrows, I think they're a good arrow. Good rig for this crossbow, at least. We're going to put these dudes right over here. We're going to put them right here so we don't lose them. And we'll get this one out of here, what's left of it. And we will warn our processor of the rest of the situation. Now, we get to do something that is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, and that is tracking a deer. Shot her right here. She jumped about 8 feet in the air, ran right through here. Let's see if we can pick up a blood trail. Well, if you hunt long enough, I suppose it's bound to happen, but I did not intend to shoot a deer with spots. She's got to be all of 40 pounds or something. But perfect shot. And this deer ran forever. What a tough little animal. Oh man, I am soaked. Been sweating, but there she is. man, not what I envisioned. I thought it was I knew it was a fawn. I did know it was a fawn, but I didn't think she had spots. I was looking her over close, and it seemed to be a little older, you know, by a few weeks.
Then I hear that one of the deer actually had spots. We shot it unintentionally without realizing that the spots were as prominent as they were. I talk him through it.
I appreciate the fact that she kind of talked me through it. I hesitated to even share this video. We certainly didn't go to Maryland hoping to shoot a fawn with spots. I need glasses because I couldn't see those spots through the scope, and I saw this doe fawn numerous times.
We work out something that I'm going to mount that fawn as a full body mount and mount a shoulder mount of the doe next to it so that we can have them together in kind of a little nature scene, and that seems to make him feel a lot better. I was teasing my dad a little bit because I shot a fawn my first year in Maryland, but it didn't have spots. So I was kind of making fun of him because he shot a deer smaller than I have.
Will Bunjie III get a deer this year? Will Bunjie and I continue to hunt in Maryland? On next week's video, we're going to see how our Maryland trip wrapped up. Thank you for joining me. In the meantime, watch some of these other videos. And until next time, all hail Bunjie.